So last week, I put to you the idea of that segment, Molyn-me, Molyneux, and
Molyn-me, Molyneux, aha.
So yeah, I didn't have an example for you. So I have an example. Right?
Okay.
We're going to call this a calibration test.
This is a live test.
Live test. So
this has not been prepared. Listen, I'm not prepared for this.
You're never prepared for any of these cold opens, and it's wonderful. So yeah, right. Here's the first one. In Fable, you'll be able to plant an acorn and one day return to find a fully grown oak tree standing there.
I mean, that's Molyneux. That's Big Pete. Yeah,
that's Big Pete. That's the classic one that everyone knows about, right?
Yeah.
Second one. Your character will be able to buy a meadery, but the only way you can make mead is to befriend each bee.
That feels like a Carl Phillipsism.
Yeah, it is. Yes.
Okay.
Right. So we've got a good...
mainly again because like we've been mates for forever, and I know that you love mead.
Yeah, I do.
And bees.
And bees. Yeah, like it's
okay. So I felt pretty confident about those two.
Okay, cool. Right. Okay, so I've got 5 for you, and now it's the real test. We're going to see whether you know your Molyn-me from your Molyneux, right?
Cool.
So, okay, first one. I don't know what my marital status will be if I don't make our goddess Kickstarter. Is that Molyn-me or Molyneux?
I think that's I think that's Big Pete.
Big P.
Because you're not married.
That's very true. True.
Again, my insider knowledge.
Kicking in.
But also that's hilarious.
It is.
And
it's
also not.
It is also Molyneux. He actually said that during the press
incredible
for Goddess. Okay, next one. When your character dies in Fable, we want you to feel it physically. We're working with peripheral makers so that the controller actually gets heavier as your health drops.
Okay, that's tough. I want to say that is actually Big Pete. I want to say that's Big Pete. So the trouble is that if I say Molyneux, that is both you and Peter Molyneux. So it doesn't really, it only really works when you say Molyneux.
Okay,
Molyneux,
right. So which is what you meant to say, Molyn-me or Molyneux?
Yeah, I think it's Big Pete. I think it's Molyneux.
Molyneux. You are wrong. That's Molyn-me.
Oh,
that's Molyn-me.
You bamboozled me.
The bamboozle coming in.
You did it.
Okay, so next one. I'm just looking through my list here. I've got a nice long list of this. The person who reaches the center of the Curiosity Cube will receive a prize so extraordinary that it will be life-changingly amazing. It will be like they have become a god.
I mean, that's got to be Big Pete.
It absolutely is.
Yeah, We all remember Curiosity. What's in the cube?
What's the cube?
And we all know that promise was never delivered upon.
Never. Justice for the goddess god, right? Justice for them. I hope they get something in Masters of Albion, frankly. So yes. Next one.
Oh, there's a surprise bonus question.
Oh, there's two more.
Oh, right, okay.
So this next one. The AI in Black and White is so advanced that if you're cruel to your creature for long enough, it will start to resent you. Not in a programmed way, genuinely resent you.
I don't even know what that would mean, but I think that's a Molyn-me. I think that's a Carl Phillips original.
You're correct. It is. It's a Molyn-me. They should have gone with that though. Like genuinely said, yeah, it's going to resent you. Like that would have been brilliant. To be fair, I often while playing Black and White felt that the creature resented me for just.
I mean, that was a great game. Like Black and White and Black and White 2 are great games.
Superb. And you know what? Another underrated Molyneux game, the movies. That was ahead of its time. Just putting that out there.
I will take a allegedly game auteur pontificating wildly and making promises that he absolutely can't cash, and then delivering yeah, not quite that level,
Yeah.
but still delivering generational bangers over boring slop.
Absolutely. Also, Dungeon
Give me more auteurs, give me more crazy people. Let's keep the toxicity out, David Cage. But I like characters. Like, give me characters.
Absolutely.
Like Peter Molyneux sort of like, I think his hit to miss ratio is probably quite good.
I'd say
in
so.
terms of the games that he's actually released.
But yes, last one.
Okay.
Right. We've partnered with NASA. Oh, God, I've already given the game away for this, but I'll finish it anyway. We've partnered with NASA. I can't say more than that right now, but it's going to change what it means to be a video game.
I mean, that's Big Pete.
Sadly, no, that's a Molyn-me.
Oh, no!
True. I wish it was true, but no, that is. And on that bombshell, let's record a goddamn podcast.
Hello, and welcome back to the Game Buzz podcast. I'm your boy Matt, joined by the most soothing voice on the internet, Mr. Carl Phillips. Hello, Carl. And yeah, welcome to the Game Buzz, where we dive arse first, like the cannonballing cretins that we are.
That's accurate. Yeah.
into the gaming news of the week. And yeah, it's been an interesting week. Dominated, I think, by a lot of discourse around one game in particular, but we'll get to that. Carl, what have you been playing recently? Before we dive arse first into the news, what have you been playing?
The game that I've been playing a lot recently in co-op is the game that just doesn't stop having continued success. Like, unbelievable. Like, it's still getting updates and still going. Stardew Valley. Like, it's the ultimate cozy game, isn't it? Like, you can just come back to it whenever you want. Yes, okay, your save game, you can't remember what you're doing. Your farm's a mess. But it's just one of those games you can just drop back into and just continuously play. But like I said, I've been playing that in co-op with my friend Dan recently. And we've been making sick bank. We've just started doing our what was it? The Starfruit wine. And just making all the money. Although we did try to plant 1,000 of them in one day, and we failed. We did pass out. So we dream big, we fail even bigger. But there's one thing I want to get into with this, because we've all played Stardew. We've all, bounced around with those characters and all that. But I've come to the realization that pretty much every character in Stardew is a massive asshole.
Right. Okay. Right. That's a bold statement.
It is. But it's very true, right? You've got the mayor, Lewis, who perpetuates Pam's drinking, is having an affair with one of the locals, right? And he's making you go out and get things for him. It's just like, get me some truffle oil, no questions. Right? And when you give it to him, he's like, oh yeah, that's really slick. Thanks. Like, he's a massive pervert, and he's allowed the whole village to fall into disarray. He's like, oh yeah, the bus has been out of service for 10 years. And then when you speak to someone else, it's like, oh yeah, it's been a couple of years. He's guilting you into fixing the bus, right? So, oh, we haven't had a bus in so long. It's like, well, why don't you pay for it, you massive bellend? Like, it's...
Have we actually just uncovered a sinister truth that at the heart of most cozy games is just a cacophony of assholes?
Right.
Because Tom Nook's the same, man.
Yes.
Like, Tom Nook's a prick.
He is. Massive. Massive. And
like, they come across all nice and welcoming, but it's only because they want you to do stuff and then fleece you out of your bells.
Absolutely. The only thing I will give to Tom Nook is that he doesn't charge interest. Like, that's
very true.
But
that's very
still
true. And he is a he's a family man.
Yes, he is.
He is a family man. But apparently, by some accounts, so was Hitler. So, you know.
No notes. So, yeah, I mean,
I didn't actually have that on my bingo card today. I didn't have compare Tom Nook to Hitler on my bingo card today, but
here we are.
There we go.
But yeah, you've got that. You've got Shane with his drinking problem. You've got Haley, who when she sees you is just like, you'd be kind of cute if you weren't dressed like a farmer.
Let's hang on though. You're also enabling all of these people's drinking problems.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
because you just copped to be. Yeah, we're gonna create the biggest winery.
Yeah.
Just so does it take one to know one, Carl? Does it take one to know one?
They don't have to buy my rather excellent produce. Okay, that's their choice. Like it's not up to me. I'm just making it. Like the fact that it's so good that you want to buy a bottle because it's very reasonably priced is not my concern, right? It is down to you. If you think that you can't handle it, don't have it. I'm not going to stop you. It's your choice. It's your soul. You know.
All I'm saying is I think the questionable ethics of the characters at the heart of Stardew Valley may have also transferred across to. Well, I suppose if you can't beat them, join them.
Yeah, exactly right. I have one final thing about Stardew because otherwise I will just descend into like criticizing every character. But this might come as a shock, but Demetrius, right? He gave me a quest, and he was like, "I would like you to get me a particular fish." And he was like, "Could you do that?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure, I could do that." So I did it, but I was doing a lot of other things, as in, like most cases, cozy games, you get distracted with everything that's going on. You've got to mine, you've got to farm, everything else. So it was like, oh crap, yeah, I haven't taken this fish to Demetrius.
You've got to woo everyone.
You've got to. That's it. You've got to be a
wooing takes
slut.
time and energy. Yes,
you've got to be 100%. The valley slut. So I eventually go, oh yes, I've got to take the fish to Demetrius, and so I do. I get there, completely forgetting that the timer has gone on that quest. So I go and just hand him a fish, and you know what his reaction to me is? This is disgusting. And he keeps the fish. So not only do I not get a reward, I get insulted for my effort, and he keeps it. Like, he could have been like, well, this is disgusting, take back. No, he keeps the fish. So you know what? Fuck you, Demetrius. Right? Fuck you.
All I'm hearing there is that you failed to deliver on time and you've disappointed a man. And as someone who's been sat there like Scott Pilgrim on a game's launch day and Amazon have screwed the pooch, I think I'm Team Demetrius, if I'm being completely honest, man.
Right. But the fish arrived in the end, and he could have at least gone, well...
Yeah, but he wanted that fish. He wanted that fish when he wanted it, man.
What about me? I'm a busy guy making Stardew, like
stop being the Valley Ho and go get some fish.
I will not apologise for my methods.
I will not apologise.
I apologise. Or in this case, I don't. You know what? No. Demetrius can suck it. Robin can do better.
Wow.
And I'm going to date his daughter just to spite him. That's.
Yeah, I think. They're the assholes.
Right? I'm not the problem. It's the children that are the problem. So I've been playing Stardew Valley this week. That's
wow.
Yeah.
That's...
Dear listeners...
I don't know how to follow that up.
Dear listeners, tell me if I'm in the wrong here. Just saying.
Tell me when I'm telling lies.
Tell me when I'm telling lies. Yeah. So let's move on from that before you have some sort of brain aneurysm, and tell us, what have you been playing this week, Matt?
Well, so I've been playing the game that's been at the centre of some wildly amusing in some parts, thoroughly disheartening in others discourse. I played Mixtape the other day. So yeah, my wife Ali took our toddler out to go see her mum. So I had a few hours in the afternoon. I was just like, And don't get me wrong, I love games that you can finish in a few hours. I love them because like it's lovely. It's just like a little gaming snack, but like it's a complete snack. It's like Huel. I hate Huel, but you know what I mean. Like it's a complete nutritional Huel. Gaming need. Yeah, Huel's horrible, man. It's fucking rank. So I don't. Yeah.
Well, we're not getting that sponsorship anytime.
Definitely not getting that sponsorship. Yes, I played Mixtape, the game that IGN have famously given a 10 to and sent the internet into a spiral of nonsense. But yeah, it's a visual novel. I think it presents itself a little bit like you sort of look at it and you go, oh, cool, okay, walking simulator territory. But it's more on rails than that. It's a visual novel with a couple of mini games, and the soundtrack as the spine, right? So, you know, as the title might suggest, it's very, very heavily music focused. It's a coming of age story focused on like 3 teenage characters finishing school, going their separate ways, or at least one of them is, much to the chagrin of one of the other 3. And yeah, it's a sweet story. It's well told. The aesthetics are really cool. But yeah, it didn't. And yeah, spoiler alert. So if you haven't played it, go play it. If you don't care, then listen on.
Skip. Oh, we'll put a timestamp. It's fine. Yeah.
But I think I learned about the IGN 10 before I went into this, right? And I think sometimes that can set a level of expectation that, you know, even subconsciously, I'm like, okay, this thing's gonna be good. Yeah. And I think it set a bar in my head that actually the game itself couldn't clear. And I wonder, like, you know, would I have enjoyed myself more with it if I hadn't had that bar, visible or invisible, in the back of my mind playing it? Like if I'd known nothing about this game and I just sort of picked it up on Game Pass, which is what I did anyway, you know, would I have cared? Would we be having this conversation that we're about to have in terms of, like, would this discourse have exploded? So yeah, there are a few things with the game that I really, really, really liked. So there's a little bit where the characters are just taking a moment down by this sort of, I don't know if it's a river or a lake, and they're just skipping rocks. And it's one of the bones of contention with the game is that it doesn't have a huge amount of actual, what people might call, gameplay. Yeah. Like direct control is obviously, you know, it's a completely valid thing, but that's one of the things that makes games. But the actual kind of the depth to the gameplay, as it were, is kind of mostly vague steering of a skateboard, a few quick time events, and kind of mooching around a room, like various different rooms, and interacting with items the way you might in a walking simulator. But anyway, there's a scene down by the lake where you're skipping rocks, and it was just so peaceful and so zen that I lost 40 minutes. And you can leave after like 2, if that. And I was just there, just like, because every time I hit something, another thing would pop up, and I don't know. It was just like, before I knew, I literally looked at my watch and I was like, oh god, I don't actually have time to be doing this. like they're gonna be back at any moment. But yeah, it was like the vibe, like the parallel between me and the game characters at that point in time was very immersive, and I really that stuck out. Anyway, yeah. Look, long story short, if you don't like vibey nostalgic games, because it's very 80s, 90s, it couches itself in aesthetics and then cloaks itself in nostalgia. If you don't like those sorts of games, you're not going to get on with this. But I enjoyed it. It's probably like a 7 out of 10 for me. Like it was cool, aesthetically on point. The soundtrack, while not necessarily like entirely my cup of tea, like it worked so well for the game. Very high fidelity-esque. Like there's a lot of like the central protagonist breaks the fourth wall a lot and talks directly to you and introduces the mixtape that she's made in her mind. Will tell the story of this final day of school, or final day together. And so it's really, really nicely done. It's very stylish, but like it just didn't hit me in the feels the way that some of the other kind of games in the genre in that sort of walking sim visual novel kind of genre have. So I think about Gone Home, and I think about Edith Finch, and I think about Firewatch, and I think about Journey as well, which is, there's barely what many people would call gameplay in that, but like the synthesis of the journey and the music and the aesthetics and everything, man, to me, that's a 10 out of 10 game. And I was just like, I can't even explain it. I was just crying my eyes out by the end of that. This not so much. And I think the story is a sweet story, but I didn't feel the emotional moments quite as much as maybe I wanted to, or maybe as much as the game wanted to. I don't think it earned them necessarily. And it's interesting, like the nostalgia bits, if you take that away, there's not much else there. Like it's so, yeah, because it wasn't my experience of the 90s. It didn't really echo too much of that. And also some of the characters are really, like, they're teenagers. So they are annoying in places. But I don't know, it didn't quite land for me in the same way that I think it has with others. That said, we need more stories like it. I want to see more games like that. I love, again, the aesthetics were amazing. But I think part of the reason that it's been so polarizing is that we don't have enough of them, really. And so we don't really have, anytime something like this comes along, and you've got a tier of 30-something game journalists and 40-something game journalists now for whom this is almost like a sweet spot, award bait kind of game in some respects. It's pure vibes, but yeah, to me those vibes, they seem like a really polished copy of vibes, if that makes sense, rather than authentic, because it didn't grab me in the feels. It didn't. There was something about it that just didn't quite stick the landing. So yeah, there were two questions that come out of Mixtape that I wanted to put to you as well.
Okay.
As part of like the discourse that's kind of emerged around it. And the first is, I suppose, kind of what makes an indie game. And we saw this with Dave the Diver, right? Like a big budget game, or a game with significant publisher backing that couches itself in very is very indie coded, but ultimately, they've spent loads of money on licensed music here. The production values are on point for this game. The publisher's Annapurna, and I've seen some people be like, "Oh, Annapurna is a publisher that's just got loads of nepo money backing," and it's like, yeah, guys, where was that energy when it came to like Stray and anything else that Annapurna have ever put out?
People like cats.
People like cats.
Yeah, you can get away with anything if there's a cat the lead. Frankly.
But I think like it's because a lot of these stories are being told. They're being told by smaller studios without massive publisher backing, and they're not getting as much love.
I think a really good example of that actually is Draugen from Red Thread Games. Again, another walking simulator, all about the atmosphere and the vibes. Maybe the story didn't quite get it at the end, but overall, brilliantly told. Really interesting character arc throughout it, but it didn't take off. It wasn't a huge success, which is such a shame. But yeah, I think that's a really good example of that sort of thing, of a small indie game where you can do it in one session and it's self-contained. And I suppose it comes down to is it worth the price of admission, which of course has been another part of the discourse that's been coming out. So yeah.
Yeah, that's actually a really interesting thing as well, because I think had I paid £15 for it, I probably would have been even more critical, if I'm being honest. Well, actually, I don't know. That can go one of two ways. Like, you can either feel like you have to get your money's worth, and that because I've invested more into this thing financially, that, you know, I'm going to work harder to try and see the positives, or try and justify that decision retroactively, almost, if that makes sense. Or it can be like, no, I'm going to be super critical because like I've spent money on this and it hasn't matched my expectations, sort of thing. So I do think that can go one of two ways. And you see people, this is in all walks of life, not just buying games, but like you trying to retroactively justify their decisions. Whereas yeah, I think Game Pass to me is a sunk cost. So to me, it's weird, isn't it? The psychology of subscriptions. To me, that game is almost free.
Yep. Yes.
Because it just comes out of my account, and then there's this library of things that I can dip in and out of, and it makes us. I would argue it makes us not value those things quite as much, which perhaps, you know, maybe underpins also my lukewarm response to this game.
Yeah, it's when you talk about the subscription part, like that's how I played Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. Like I played that on Game Pass.
To be fair, so did I.
Yeah, like I spent what was it, $8.99 at that point, and for that I played through that game. Like that's obscene value. It was amazing. Like unreal. But would I have spent 50 quid to buy that game, like blindly going in? I'm not so sure. Even with the pedigree of Machine Games being absolutely brilliant, even with Troy Baker, you know, once again just nailing it with his role, and the quality of it all, I'm still not sure I would have dived in the same way that I didn't dive into Cyberpunk 2077 when that first came out, because that was a lot of money, and also, yeah, okay, there's a whole broken thing part of it. But I waited until it'd been fully patched and had what was it? The expansion.
Phantom Liberty.
That's Phantom Liberty. I was about to say Broken Liberty, and I was like, no, that's not it. Phantom Liberty, and the whole package for £35 was obscene value. Like it was absolutely amazing. And I suppose, okay, this is a completely different thing because it's CD Projekt. You've got publishers and everything else on top of it. So we've kind of strayed a little bit. But it is down to that sort of value. And it's like you say, if £15 for something like Mixtape, is it a reflection on the sort of like the level of sort of like cost to value, or is it a reflection on the fact that subscriptions have completely skewed our perception of what value is?
I think both are true, right?
Yeah.
I think both are true, but I also think this feeds into the reviews themselves, right? Because I think, you know, and to go back to like, yeah, what makes an indie game to a certain degree?
Yes.
Part of the trouble with indies is you don't necessarily, unless it's an established indie, and Annapurna is an established publisher, but I think, you know, with a certain name pedigree attached to them, right? But I do think that, you know, sometimes you are waiting on those reviews to determine if something is worth jumping into or not. If you don't have that subscription, and if the game's not included in there and you're waiting for that kind of price barrier, whether that's critical consensus or whether that's consumer consensus, like you said, with Machine Games, you know there's a pedigree there. With people like Troy Baker involved, you know there's a pedigree there, right? Like that was never going to be. I mean, it's difficult, right? Because Indiana Jones, that's actually a bit of a sticky IP, but there's probably a level of trust, and I think I would have, had it not been on Game Pass, I would have bought that game, just based on that pedigree, based on that trust. But I think sometimes, yeah, you're waiting to see the reviews land, you're waiting to see some of the user scores land, and I do think that a 10, it doesn't really matter. There are plenty of people that for years have been like, oh, IGN's trash. But the name and the idea of a big website giving something a 10 still holds a lot of weight, right? Like, and still holds, even if you don't necessarily like that publication, you would perhaps assume a level of critical rigorousness that means 10s are still going to be special, right? And then that feeds into a value judgment, and that feeds into a moment, which has led to this discourse of like, okay, cool. Do I need to play this? Can I afford to miss out, perhaps? Which drives FOMO and so on and so forth. And like, it was something I noticed working in retail, right? Like for the last couple of years. For years, people have said game reviews don't matter. They 100% do. They 100% still do. The power of games media is still there. And you'd see it. Anything above an 85, and anything above a 90 in particular, the minute those review scores dropped, like sales through the roof. And that's like Claire Obscure. We forget. Claire Obscure wasn't really anywhere from our perspective sales-wise until the reviews hit, and then, oh my God, you couldn't get stock. You couldn't get enough stock because everyone sat up and took notice. That's maybe a little bit of a bit of an extreme example. I'm trying to scramble around and find one off the top of my dome. But I suppose, Pragmata's another one, actually. Pragmata's a great example. 88, I think, 87, 88, round release, 2 million copies in the first week. And that's a new IP.
Yeah. That's
a new IP. Yes, Capcom publisher, but like that's probably what I'd call premium AA.
Yeah.
New IP, single player experience, a short game, not quite full price, but still quite a relatively short game, 10 to 12 hours perhaps. You're still asking a decent chunk of wedge for that. 2 million within the first week. Reviews still matter massively, and I think they do even more so for indie games. Yeah. But I think one of the things that's really, really helped Mixtape has been its ubiquity amongst streamers and amongst influencers, which most indies can't afford. So you've got the presentation of indie, which everyone kind of, you look at and you go, oh, I want to support that. A certain type of gamer goes, I want to support that.
Support the little guy.
But the marketing of a major publisher and a non-indie budget, I would imagine.
Yeah.
So
it's interesting. Would games such as Fez or Thomas Was Alone have been able to make those impacts today in today's climate? I don't think they would have. It's simply because we didn't have live stream, like, your streamers back then that basically play out the game for you if you don't want to buy or want to be part of the whole community aspect of streaming. And I mean, Mike Bithell talks about this a lot in terms of Thomas Was Alone and what is indie and all that sort of stuff. And he's like, don't follow my example because it was lightning in a bottle, essentially.
Yeah.
Like, it was the perfect storm at the right moment, and he's been able to make a career out of it. But it's really, like you say, it was the indie darling. It was the ultimate example back in the day. Thomas Was Alone. My God, it's a game about what if blocks had feelings. It's the Pixar effect, essentially, and it worked. It was absolutely amazing. But it's difficult. Like, you could understand like the value of that, which was I think about £12 brand new, and it was brilliant. It was the right length. It was the right price. It was perfect. In that regard. But I do think that indie developers have a much harder time justifying that now. And so it's either they got to price it up or go lower than they want to just to be able to make ends meet. And it's a really sad thing.
Yeah, Silksong's a great example of like the furore around Silksong's release, right? Like you get Silksong dropping it. I can't even remember the price point it was, but it was low, or it was deemed low. And the idea, like the sort of backlash being like, this is going to destroy a certain level of indie games because how can we possibly compete at that price point with this game, which is not which has major backing. This is going to destroy a certain sector for true indies, and it's really tough. And it's a question that obviously I'm facing day to day now. I work for an indie publisher, and it's a question on everyone's lips: is how do you stand out in a world where like 20,000 games drop on Steam every single year, and you're 100%, and you've got major publishers releasing games in, couched in indie aesthetics and indie vibes. So it's being cannibalized from without as well, right? So it's really, really, really tough. And I agree with you. I think a game like Thomas Was Alone would struggle now. I think because even though there are more avenues to market and there are more potential strategies to employ to make your game visible, and there are more showcases and there are more gamers as well. Yeah. The power of all of those things, it's still lightning in a bottle. It's still lightning in a bottle. You can do everything right and fail. Like, all you can ever do is put your game in the best possible position for success and then kind of hope. There is no magic bullet, because even games that are amazing will flounder until they don't. Among Us is the best example of this. 2 years in the wilderness, and then a couple of streamers pick it up in Korea, and it just goes absolutely mental. Like, you can do it. You can have the best game, but you're still riding luck a little bit.
At the same time, you've also got games that are just bang average and manage to become ridiculous successes. And this is a wonderful throwback of an example. Flappy Bird. Right? Like, it was so basic, it was so thing, and then it took the world by storm and then just disappeared.
Yep. Yeah. Mad. We've tangented hard, I think.
What do you mean? We've been on topic, straight on topic this entire time.
What I want to come back to though is because I think, I want to come back to that idea of the perfect 10, because I think it does set a level of expectation, right? And even if I think people react hard to this sort of thing. I disagree. Like, I think games like Mixtape can absolutely be 10s, like 100%. I said it earlier. Like, Journey, to me, that's a 2-hour game that I think when it released was still 12, 14 quid. Yeah. That's a 2-hour game, and I still think it's a 10. Like, I just found it's just an emotional odyssey. Is it for everyone? Absolutely not. But for that reason, I don't think you can't really compare. Because I've seen this. I think it's a bad faith argument a lot over the last week. This idea that you can somehow compare Elden Ring to a game like Mixtape, and it just doesn't work. You can have a walking sim that's 10 out of 10, and you can have a 100-hour RPG that's 10 out of 10, and scoring them the same. It doesn't make one lesser than the other. It just means they're different games for different audiences, for different people. But with that in mind, like, I suppose the question I wanted to ask you, because it was one that was in my mind when I was, and this is where that score did influence my thinking, because I was sort of critiquing the game as I was going through it, was what should a 10 do? Like, irrespective of genre, should a 10 elevate a genre? Should it drive games forward in some respect? Is it just enough to be mechanically brilliant? Like, I suppose that's also genre dependent, right? Because for a first person shooter, for example, yes, mechanical brilliance could sometimes be the point, particularly if it's a multiplayer game. What should a 10 do? What makes a 10 for Carl Phillips?
My God. I've been thinking about this, and it's like, what is a 10? Did I ever, back in my days of reviewing, ever give a 10? And I don't think I ever did. Like, I don't think that there is an example of a perfect game. And to me, that's fine. Because just like real life, we are all flawed beings. A great game can be absolutely flawed, or have just like one thing that completely sticks out that stops it from getting a 10. And that's fine, because it's the sum of its parts, I suppose. And maybe that's what makes a 10. Like, the fact that we brought up Journey quite a lot, and you're right, it's a phenomenal game that I suppose a 10 is nailing the intention of your development in the game. Like, they wanted to create this co-op experience with minimal communication that had a immersive storyline that went through, that was often very, suggestive in a way, in terms of it didn't actually tell you what the story was. You had to interpret it. Interpret is probably the right word instead of suggestive. But yeah, it was an interpretive story.
Yes, it wasn't a sexy game.
Speak for yourself. And the way that scarf got longer, but it's don't deny it.
Don't ruin this for me.
But it's the fact that with Journey, it was a 2-hour game, but it wasn't a one-time only game. I had for quite a long time this Christmas Day tradition where I would, on the morning of Christmas Day, play Journey, and I would go through it, and it would be with a completely different person. And one Christmas, it was the same person from beginning to end, and they were a little lost. I was showing off with my ridiculously long, shiny white scarf, like making sure that they got to the end. And at one point, I thought I'd lost them, and I think it was during the snowstorm bit. And I was genuinely sad. It was just like, oh man, I've lost them. I'd had them with me almost to the end. And then we got together, and that final bit where you're going to the mountain, with their basically singing tones to each other as we're going up and stuff. And afterwards, the person messaged me, and I was in the middle of messaging them, and they basically went, "Thank you for sticking with me. That was absolutely amazing." And I was just like, "No, thank you." And so it became this emotional thing. And I think that is Journey succeeding in what it wanted to deliver. That's why it is so highly regarded, and why, you consider it a 10, why I consider it one of my favorite games of all time. And I think that to me is what a 10 is, delivering on its intention to me.
Yeah, I don't think you can have. I mean, perfect is subjective. All of this is subjective, right? It's all nonsense, really. But like, I don't think. Yeah, like flawless, perfect. I don't think these things objectively exist. So I think yeah. If you made God, I wish people would use the whole scale as well. But if you made a 1 to 10 scale, and 10 was meant to exemplify perfection, nothing would score a 10. Yeah. I think I agree with you. Like, I think that's certainly that's a reading of it. I think for me it's essential, right? Like, if it doesn't, and that kind of breaks the genre barriers, I suppose. It's like, if you like this sort of thing, this is absolutely categorically essential playing. And if you don't, it's still worth a look, because it might be the thing that changes your mind, which is what a lot of people said about Expedition 33, right? Like, is that you don't like turn-based, this might change your mind. Like, you don't like JRPGs, this might change your mind. But yeah, man, I think it's difficult to quantify. I think it's different for every critic and for every outlet, as it should be. I do think that one of the most important things you can do as a critic, and we did this back in the day, is lay out, if you're going to have a scoring system, explain what it means. Yes. Like, explain what a 10 is to you. Explain, and then I don't think people can have an issue, really. But I do also think that there's, and this has been the case since New Vegas, right? And since we learned about bonuses attached to Metacritic scores, which I still don't think is a good thing at all, in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
I think there's an idea as well, and this perhaps explains some of the backlash when we get inflection points like this. Is this idea that actually there's a responsibility, if you're going to hand out review scores, there is, and you're Metacritic rated, there's a bit of a responsibility there. So yeah, I don't know.
It's like we're talking about subjective. Also, firstly, speaking about New Vegas, repping that today. Just
you are absolutely
repping it.
I hadn't even noticed that. maybe subconsciously I had. Yeah. That was where my mind went.
We'll talk about New Vegas. You will. When we talk about subjectiveness, I remember back in the day, for the website that shall be not be named, we had one game that I know you weren't such a huge fan of, but our fellow reviewer, John, who is now a horse whisperer, as we know, he really loved Deadly Premonition.
I don't think he gave it a 10, though.
He didn't give it a 10, but he scored it very high. And I remember you just going, what? Like, this is what? Like, I won't put the words in your mouth, but like, you didn't agree. I remember that much. And that's the beauty of art and gaming, I feel. It's like in the same way that, and we've had this discussion, you didn't get on with Control. I thought it was phenomenal. It's that wonderful thing of just being able to kind of like say, well, yeah, this is brilliant. No, I don't agree. What you're talking about? It's so long as you're not being, a dick about it.
Control's such an interesting one as well, because Control, like, I love Remedy, but like the thing that stopped me from enjoying Control was the game feel. So like if there was also a danger to it being the thing that might have stopped me enjoying Uncharted. I love Uncharted, but you go back and you play Uncharted 1, that game feels horrible. It feels so horrible. And I maintain to this day that Naughty Dog are very, very bad at shooter mechanics. I don't like the way the gunplay feels in Uncharted at all. It gets better the further they go, but even Uncharted 2, I don't like the way it feels really light and floaty to me. In a way that I just didn't really like. That is always going to be completely subjective. So I think sometimes it can be quite difficult to put a finger on, like why a game just doesn't necessarily resonate. But I think again, it like that was a barrier to entry for me for Control. That it didn't matter how amazing or interesting and brilliantly designed it was. I just didn't like the feel of it necessarily with a controller in my hand, and bounced out of it. And that's a shame. For some reason, there could be a game just will not hit for you, and that's okay.
I think for me, that's The Witcher 2. I could not get on with it.
Which is a game that I absolutely adore.
Yeah. Right? It's games are wonderful in that respect. Like, I still can appreciate that The Witcher 2 is a fantastic game that was bold in the fact that, you had to make a choice at one point, and depending on which choice you made, you played half a game. You've got to choose the other choice to play the other half. Like that. Brilliant. I mean, probably a ridiculous nightmare in terms of development and organisation for CD Projekt, but it brilliantly brave to do that. Almost in a similar, not in a similar way, but like with Dragon Age Origins, like you had the different starter stories that like some people wouldn't necessarily play one or two of them, because it's like, well, yeah, you play one, you don't, the game's big enough as it is. But yeah, like I think that's one of the great things about art in general. And video games, and it's the fact that I can still wax lyrical about Control to you and its absolute ridiculous SCP world building and like ducks that appear everywhere that it will melt you. Like it's wonderful. In the same way that Alan Wake 2, phenomenal. Any game that has a musical section, like an actual goddamn musical in the middle, it's going to win me over. But I know it's not for everyone, and that's okay.
It's like it's funny, isn't it? There are games that it's interesting. I think there are two different things at work here. There are games that I can look at and go, that's a genuine masterpiece, but I know it's not for me. And I mentioned Elden Ring earlier. I want to love it so much. I don't have the time to get good. The mechanically, it doesn't. It just doesn't do it for me in a way that but I look at it and the art design's so amazing and the lore and the world building so great, and I'm just like, I want to love you so much, but I literally can't. I literally can't get into it.
You just have to accept the fact that you will be maidenless forever. That's fine.
I'm married with a kid, dude. Like it's all good. It's all good on the maiden front.
Yeah.
I think Mixtape's an interesting one because it's a game that I get and I understand and I can play, and I looked at it and said, yes, that's for me. And then I just didn't end up like I think it's a good game. I just don't think it's a great game. So I was expecting feels. It's a good story, well told, but it's not a great one for me. And I think that's the sort of difference there. Because I think Control's another example of like I can appreciate that game from afar and say, man, I understand completely why you love that game. And to be fair, I can completely understand why certain folks might have given Mixtape a 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
Well, I understand why they give it a 9 out of 10. For me, I don't think it quite does. This sort of goes back to what makes a 10 for me. I don't think it's unmissable. I don't think I'm going to think about it. Like if this discourse hadn't exploded and it had just gotten a 10 and then sold a bunch of copies, fine. I think I would have forgotten it relatively quickly, having finished it. The only reason we're still talking about it is because everyone's still talking about it, right? Absolutely. So from a discourse creating perspective, like that's the discourse has made the game interesting.
The Streisand effect, essentially. Like
I didn't find the game itself that interesting.
Yeah, it's just kind of like exploded because of it. I think ultimately what we're getting at is that the perfect game will never be made because Valve won't make Half-Life 3.
God damn it, Valve.
Right.
Or Portal 3.
Or Portal 3, yeah. Like, it's their fault.
Or Left 4 Dead 3. Gabe, just get off your ass, man.
Get off your massive yacht and make a game, right?
Yes, please.
Just sort it out.
Yes, please. Shall we let's have a little look at some of the other stuff that's happened this week, because other stuff has happened this week. Very quickly. Consoles are getting more everything's getting more expensive, man, but consoles are getting more expensive. Nintendo have followed in Sony's footsteps and they've announced a price hike.
It was inevitable, wasn't it? It was going to have to happen. It's very sad, and for our American brethren, we feel for you. We go through it all the time. Everything is very expensive over here. But yeah, it was always going to happen. Like, we've spoken in the last couple of episodes about the fact that the RAM situation has gotten absolutely ridiculous. Everything's going up in price. It's now just going to have to be the challenge to justify the cost, isn't it? And it'll be interesting to see how they react to that, because having good games is one thing, but it being accessible to people is also very important.
Yeah.
There'll be that fine balancing act. I mean, we saw how Sony had to pivot a lot with the PlayStation 3 when that came out. I mean, that was a lot of money. Again, some decent games, but not a huge catalogue compared to the Xbox 360, which was already there. Yeah, it's tough. I still can't justify getting a Switch 2. I mean, I love my Switch, but I can't justify getting a Switch 2 currently.
No, I think Nintendo's, it's a difficult thing, and this is always the difficult thing when you're moving from a generation where you've been enormously successful to a new console generation. And the Switch 2 is really the Switch 1.5, if we're being honest. Like, they're still developing for both. Nintendo have not let go of the Switch at all. Why would they? It's gunning for PS2 numbers, realistically now. I don't know if it's ever going to get there, but it's on the way, right? So there's always that dilemma between sort of, when do we let go of that last generation? And the Switch is still a very attractive proposition, especially in sort of as a new console in developing countries. Like, it's still a massive proposition there. So and Nintendo's first party output for that console has been brilliant.
don't get me wrong, they are trying to make it so that you go and get a Switch 2. I mean, we were talking about Star Fox,
Yeah.
the other episode. Like, they're trying, but I don't think it's quite there yet.
Yeah. I think if you're going to, if you know your install base or the rate of growth of your install base is going to shrink, you need to work hard to monetize your existing one, right? So, yeah, quick wins like Star Fox probably. I'm assuming a relatively quick win. I don't know, to be honest, but I think it's probably easier to build to remake a game than it is to build one completely from scratch. But yeah, they're going to need to hit the summer hard, I think, for their existing Switch 2 audience. And look, that first year has been great. It has been great from a console sales perspective. It's going to get worse post price hike. So they're going to have to work to make people like me who do have a Switch 2 keep playing on Switch 2 and keep buying games for Switch 2. But yeah, man, component costs are mental. I wish I'd bought a PC last year because my aging workhorse is really aging. It can't do push-ups like Roach anymore.
Oh, Roach.
But yeah. Let's talk very, very quickly about Xbox because we talked about it previously. Like, Asha Sharma's come in, and despite reservations, we're like, oh god, it's gonna be AI everything. This is just gonna get worse. Actually, she's made some good decisions. And yeah, recent was it Investor Call, a recent town hall where she said reevaluating a range of options, treading carefully when it comes to exclusivity. I think there was a quote, I'm paraphrasing here, that they're going to make decisions carefully rather than quickly. But it's going to be interesting because I think they walked back the everything is an Xbox, this is an Xbox campaign. I would imagine they're going to be watching Forza and Halo like hawks to see how they perform on PS5 this year.
Yes.
But like we were talking before, where do they go from an exclusivity perspective? What happens to the next original Halo? What happens to the next original Xbox Game Studios title? Bethesda is obviously still a label that's going to be everywhere for now, but do Xbox try to bring back exclusives or is it just an ecosystem thing now?
See, I wonder whether this is in sort of response to kind of like, again, we've already spoken about Xbox realigning what they are as a brand, but also we've seen with Sony, like, they are scaling back their put it on everything approach. Like, they're rolling back releases that are going to be on PC now after a huge push with things like Horizon and the Uncharted series and Helldivers. They are scaling back because they need more people to buy PS5s because nobody's buying them because, well, if we can just wait and get it on PC, why not? And so it's created this kind of, like, I think, false narrative that there are no games for PS5. Yes, there are. It's just that, you can get them on PC. And I think that's the worry. If Sony are pulling back then and trying to get people to kind of like reinvigorate the Sony brand or the PlayStation brand, so to speak, Xbox and Microsoft are doing the same for Xbox. Like, you need to have those reasons. If you're going to be saying that not everything is an Xbox, well, in that case, you need to have a reason to get an Xbox. And even if it is a similar thing to the Death Stranding approach, shall we say, where it's console exclusive for a certain time, and then you look to expand over time in the same way that Rockstar are going to be doing for GTA 5, console exclusive to start with, and then it will go out to PC. Like almost kind of the reverse, I suppose. It's down to how they want to approach it and how they can make it so that Xbox is a desirable thing. Because I've said for the last probably decade, I don't need an Xbox. I haven't bought an Xbox XS or any of the sort of like the ones after the 360 because I have a PC.
Yeah.
And that was great with the everything is an Xbox thing, and I've loved it, and thank you very much for that. But at the same time, it's not giving me a reason to buy an Xbox. And if they want to keep that brand alive, that's what they need to do. They need to make it desirable and to have that sort of thing. But you're right. How do they approach that line carefully at a time where people can't necessarily justify spending loads of money on a new console?
Yeah, see, I think it's going to be interesting because I think if the rumors about Project Helix are true, they're looking to bridge that gap between PC and console, right? In a way that we argued way back in the day they should have started far earlier. And if that is the case, and you know, you end up with a PC hybrid console in your living room, and then you should have PC players anyway, and Xbox becomes the ecosystem. Like, why would you put your games on PlayStation at that point?
Yeah.
So I wonder, because again, then you're buying this box, and you're essentially saying PC console, it doesn't matter. It's all Xbox. I think Sony rowing back their PC sort of commitments has maybe been a response to both that and also the maybe arrival of Steam machines.
That was just about to say.
V2. Yeah. Because again, if now is the time, the technology and the infrastructure and the internet infrastructure wasn't necessarily there before. Now I think it is, right? So that the PC invasion of the living room might be upon us in the next year or two, and that's dangerous for Sony massively because they've had to rely on others to put their games on PC. I think they still have enough IP to be incredibly attractive and valuable as a console-only proposition.
Yeah.
Whether that sustains their numbers or not, that's a Sony problem to figure out. But as a PlayStation fan, I think Sony will be aggressive in trying to lock up exclusives. And I think, if Microsoft are truly trying to bridge that gap finally, which I think that's a good strategy for them, like, do it. Like, they'll probably have to pull back as well, which I don't know, as someone selfishly who, this is the kicker, because actually I say this as someone that owns all of them. I don't know if that's actually going to be feasible in the future, because God knows how expensive these things are going to be.
Yeah.
But I think Sony and Microsoft at the top of their games developing exclusives is good for the industry in a way. I do think we've seen amongst the big three, and Sega in years prior, back when they were still in the game, that competition pushes innovation in this space. Not to sound super capitalist about it, but I do think a weak Microsoft has allowed Sony to rest on their laurels.
Mm-hmm.
Nintendo took a different route and went, we're losing this fight. Let's go create a new playing field.
Yeah.
But actually, that's been great because it's in a weird way, it's opened up. The Wii became the second console in everyone's home, and just what a generation that was. The Switch has done a similar thing and sold loads and has afforded us so much unique opportunity there. So I dare say Nintendo going, we're going to change it. We're going to change the game for us. Literally has moved gaming forwards. So I do think competition can be healthy. But I just hope it doesn't lead to bank breaking costs for whatever the next gen ends up being. And I am afraid of that, given where we've just talked about with the console stuff.
Yeah.
That's a bit depressing. Let's end on a happy note.
Yeah.
Let's end on a happy note. eBay said no.
They sure did. I mean, who'd have thought it? Like, it was such a great offer by GameStop. They are the company that's rallied back because of a meme. Like that shows success right there. How could eBay turn that kind of proposition down?
How could eBay turn professional tool Ryan Cohen down?
Oh wait, that
I just love the formal letter. So the actual wording is, yeah, this is neither credible nor attractive. It's just the ultimate. This is like the big corporate equivalent of some absolute sleazeball douchebag going up to like an unreasonably hot person in a bar and being like, "Hey," and them going, "I have a boyfriend."
No. They should just say this is
immediately.
This proposition is neither reasonable or attractive. They should use that line. Ladies and gentlemen, if you get hit on by some absolute sleazeball anywhere, please use that line. I'm begging you. Begging you.
Can I buy you a drink? Your proposition is neither credible nor attractive.
That's beautiful. That is the best result from all of this. It has given birth to the new put down for 2026.
Nice. Put that in Stardew Valley when you're going around acting like a valley ho. There you go. I've brought it full circle.
You have.
Your offer is neither credible nor attractive.
Demetrius, that's what I'm going to say to you the next time I see you.
I've actually, shameless plug. One of the games that I'm working on at Tiny Dragon is a game called Pigeon: A Love Story, where you fly around to scale cities looking for your pigeon soulmate and calling it is the avian personification of Lionel Richie's famous song "Hello," because that's what you spend potentially hours doing, because you've got to cover an entire city that's to scale, filled with a to scale number of pigeons looking for like a needle in a haystack. Where was I going with this? Yes, right. So many pigeons will reject you. And one of the things we're thinking about doing is canvassing for more rejection lines from the internet. But I think we need this in there.
Yep.
Like, your proposition is neither credible nor attractive.
Yep.
That's okay. That was a very long-winded route, but
no, absolutely. No,
we need to get that into pigeon.
Get that in. In fact, to our listeners and viewers, if you've got suggestions, let us know and we will grade them. On a scale of 1 to 10. And I'm going to put in Demetrius's "This is disgusting." So we've got 2 right there that you've got there, Matt. So this
is perfect.
This offer is neither credible nor attractive, and this is disgusting.
But also, if you're a developer that's developing any sort of romantic storyline or romantic game, and you want some rejection lines, you can't get much better than eBay right now.
Oh, yeah.
Brilliant.
And on that bombshell.
Thanks for listening, folks. We'll be back soon.